All right, and welcome back to another episode of Deathstryke Media's Force Friday show. It is Friday. We skipped last week because I was busy, but we're here now and want to thank you guys for tuning in. My name is James Waddington, and as always, I am joined by my panel of panelists down at the far end. I got James Armstrong. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing quite well, James. Good to be back.
Yeah, and right smack in the middle, I've got Sean Sharp. How are you?
Of course, better than I deserve.
Of course, better than you deserve, and that's always a good
and
thing.
how are you doing, sir?
I'm not bad myself. Last 15 days or so, been nonstop crazy busy. A little vacation, bunch of family was in town. Didn't have time to record a show. Didn't even have time to edit a show. Hence why the other show was late to be put on the air. Finally had a little bit of time to do that, so we're good to go here. Luckily, I have nothing in the next foreseeable future except for Sunday. So everything should be on time.
Just breathe. Just breathe. Just
Yeah, you know.
Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome. It wasn't a bad busy. It was just a busy. Like I couldn't get personal things done that I wanted to do, but it was all still fun. Yeah. So it's just busy.
Get a little bit of sun, maybe decompress a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, if you are familiar with the show, we have some Star Wars topics that we simply run down and talk about. If you're not familiar with the show, I just told you exactly what we do, and we're going to jump right into it now. Of course, the big news that you might have heard already by this point is the directors for the Han Solo movie, Lord and Miller, were actually let go. They separated ways with Lucasfilm just recently. This was like a couple days ago, this being now Friday. However, Lucasfilm just announced yesterday that they actually have secured Ron Howard directing the Han Solo film, and they've done a little damage control with how they needed a calming presence on set and calming presence, and they needed someone to kind of get the ship back, right the ship a little bit. So hearing all of that, what do you guys think about Ron Howard directing Han Solo this late in the game?
Well, I tell you, it's not happy days in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, yeah, you had to do that.
I had to go there.
Well, that's much speculation because a lot of people are like, okay, Ron Howard, that's a good choice, but what caused the separation is the big question.
Well, I don't know. I don't think we'll ever really know that question. I mean, I'm sure maybe a few months from now they'll do an interview and they'll suggest something. Yeah. But, this kind of sort of happened when Tim Miller fell out of directing Deadpool 2. The rumor was he wanted to make it a bigger budget and a more extensive storyline, and they want something closer to the first one, kind of low budget and simple, and he contradicted that later. I'm sure stories will circulate about this one, and they'll say maybe it was tonal issues or abiding by the script, because apparently Lawrence Kasdan,
the writer for that. No one knows Han Solo better than that man.
Like this godfather of the Star Wars saga apparently had some role in their departure and or firing. So I don't know. I mean, this is one of those things where let's see the final product and then render a judgment. Maybe down the road we'll think, maybe they should have kept him on board, or maybe we'll think this was a good call. But it's just a weird situation that these guys got fired more than halfway through filming.
Yeah, they were
so much already done.
3 weeks away from filming, and they've been filming since January. Now, they did say that they're part of that cliche of, yes, this was about creative differences. Sean, how do you feel about parting ways this close to the end of the film, citing creative differences?
You see, for me, I was enjoying myself watching all the responses people were having. People were losing their minds over the fact that differences, creative differences, parting of ways, different vision. I'm sorry, guys. They were fired.
Yes, they were probably fired.
And probably
we can't say yes or no, but it's read between the lines, folks.
The thing is, that's really great business speak, euphemism. This is Hollywood speak here. They were fired, and it probably involves that something happened in Paradise.
Yeah.
It's also the issue, their style. They did good work with Lego. 21 Jump Street stuff. Yep. But the thing is, this late, very few films have ever recovered when you do a big switch this late in a film.
Do you think Ron Howard will more be like, will you have less of that sort of issue with the recovery because you have a big name producer coming in?
If there was any one person that I could really pick off the top of my head who was living that they give a task like this to, it would be Ron Howard.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because he's done, I had an argument with my wife over this, He does have a whimsical eye, but even in these whimsical movies, he can have dark elements.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And he has a great sense of balance and timing.
timing's key. I
People
think.
really forget some of his films on timings, like Apollo 13.
Yep.
Strict timeline. Willow was a fantastic film for pacing.
Yeah,
And keeping this
and,
movies
and
moving.
the fact that he also worked very closely with George Lucas on Willow and a couple of other projects.
Right.
The other one would be the first one he did, Lucas did before Star Wars.
American Graffiti.
American Graffiti.
There you
He worked closely.
yeah, of course.
He worked very closely with him on that. Real fast, wrap this one up. Your thoughts on the whole creative differences thing?
I don't know, man. Like I say, it sounds like that they just weren't gelling with Kathleen Kennedy and everyone on.
But this far past
on there,
like,
but
you want to say creative differences like within like the first 5 weeks of filming, not the last 3 weeks of filming.
yeah, like I hope it wasn't too awkward on the set. You know,
Yeah.
like you have all the big wigs walking around watching these fellas at work, and they have a Ron Burgundy moment where they're like, "Well, I immediately regret this decision
Yeah.
about hiring these guys."
Yeah,
So-
I don't think it was a regret. Personally, I think they were hired because they have a specific way of doing film. Lord and Miller, because they did the Lego movie, they have a very specific comedy aspect to their filming, and maybe they didn't send in their dailies the right way. Maybe they
That's what I'm wondering.
maybe
That's a
they
good
were,
theory.
maybe they were edited differently than how they're actually coming across. They're sending in like different dailies than what they
Yeah.
were actually making.
And that's a sin in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You better send what you're
Well,
actually producing.
the only people that can get away with that are people like Quentin Tarantino, who answered to nobody but himself.
Or like
Right.
Christopher Nolan, like
Christopher Nolan, people who have a very particular way of looking at it. You don't want to do that with a Star Wars film because you're not in control of Star Wars. Star Wars and Disney is in control of Star Wars. Period.
Don't mess with the House of Mouse.
Yeah, I don't care how famous or much money you have, you will probably lose that battle. Period. So
Yeah.
that's my thought
Right.
on it. And
As far as Ron Howard taking over, I haven't seen one of his movies in a while. I was thinking earlier, I really wanted to see In the Heart of the Sea, but it got buried by Star Wars: Force Awakens when
Yeah.
it came out in 2015. And I would guess that's the most modern special effects heavy movie that Ron Howard has been involved
And it
in. A
was
lot of his stuff has been more dramatic. So
It was a fantastic film,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of people walked away from it not liking it because it was such a grim subject matter. There was
Okay.
there was a lot of suffering and grimness in the storyline. It's an actual story, but the visuals were fantastic.
okay,
The visuals were fantastic.
reassuring.
So yeah,
and considering what Gareth Edwards and J.J. Abrams have done with the new Star Wars, making it very visually pleasing, the special effects have been outstanding, and even they're using physical sets and physical props.
Yeah.
I think it'll be right up Ron Howard's wheelhouse to do that and make it whatever corrections that he has to do, even with the scheduled reshoots. That they're gonna make it a beautiful package. I hope the best for the film. I'm not as excited for this film as I would be for like an Obi-Wan movie, but of course I'll still see it because it's part of the Star Wars saga, and that's just kind of what we do here. So
yeah, like when it comes down to it, I think the cast is going to save this film. I mean, I'm still looking forward to seeing Alton Ehrenreich as Han Solo. He finally clicked with me a few shows back when I just saw the cast photo, and I'm really looking forward to Donald Glover as Lando as well.
oh, absolutely, yeah, you gotta have
Yeah.
that's gonna be a good
Yeah.
one right there.
just as long as it's not Miami Vice.
That's right. Keeping with the J.J. Abrams little thing I threw in there a second ago, we had it confirmed, not really confirmed, but Colin Trevorrow, the director for the upcoming Star Wars #9, actually asked Rian Johnson to put a few scenes or film a scene in his movie, so it'll come back and he can work on it later in his movie when it's episode 9's turn to shoot. Now, how do you guys feel about a director shooting a scene for another director so they can work on it later? Sean, I'm gonna start with you.
Actually, it's more common than you would think. We're just mainly hearing it because of the big names that are attached to the
Yeah.
project. Honestly, a lot of big name directors have used their assistant directors and
Yeah.
directors of cinematography to do this very thing that
Well,
we're talking
yeah,
about.
you always have a second unit, maybe go
Yeah.
out and shoot some
Right.
stuff, and then it'll go back and
But-
feed in. But this is like one film shooting, or one director working on one film, then another giving it to another director for another film. Not part of the same project.
Right, I understand
It
that.
kind of is the same project.
It's the continuity issue, and
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
I do too.
I personally like that continuity aspect because these are two high-level professionals that are communicating.
Yeah.
And so obviously they think they both have the same vision to be confident enough to do this continuity kind of filming.
Yep.
That would be my argument for it. So I'm all for it. If we see more of it, I'd be even more pleased.
How about you, James? What do you think?
Yeah, this is something that's going to be more common as we get movies that take place within a shared universe. You know, when they made Suicide Squad, Ezra Miller was over in England making Justice League, and so Zack Snyder shot this one little
You can tell
line
what
of dialogue.
You can tell what scene it was too. It's such a his style of writing that you're like, oh, I know that scene.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but they didn't want to fly Ezra Miller all the way over to the U.S. for a
one
like
or
a
2 day shoot,
20-second scene or something. Yeah. So they just had Zack Snyder help him out, and
20 seconds of film. 4 hours of actual filming.
Probably, yeah. Gotta get the lighting right and special effects and post-production.
Usually the rule is like 4 minutes per second. Yeah. 4 minutes per second.
But it's not unprecedented within the Star Wars universe itself, because if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't George Lucas shoot the final scene of Episode 3 when they were making Episode 2 because he didn't want to go back to Tunisia, which was the scene where Obi-Wan hands baby Luke to Owen and Beru?
Yeah. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
That's a little more sweaty than I know, and I know some sweaty things. But it sounds right. Like I think I remember that article. I think I remember reading it was years ago.
Familiar,
it sounds familiar. And again, I agree with both of you guys that having a director shoot film for another director when it's more convenient and using the same set, same actors, same equipment, it'll make it flow so much better later on, especially when you're trying to tell an overarching story. That's just my concept on it. So, anyway, we're gonna head and that was a small topic, so I guess we'll go ahead and move on from that one.
Okay.
Have you guys played Battlefront? You guys play video games at all?
No, but I want to.
We know someone that's really into video games.
We know someone who's really into video games. He didn't write this one, but he works for a company that they'd produced. So we have a book and a video game coming called Battlefront 2. Mm-hmm. Battlefront 2 is basically different than the first Battlefront that came out, which is all the good guy perspective. There was no story mode on this one. This one has a story mode. It's going to be canon, and it has a book accompanying it called Inferno Squad. And in that, it's going to be narrated by the same person who plays the protagonist in the video game.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, which is going to be really cool for those continuity people freaks who are like, that's voiced by a different actress than this one. Her name is, was it a Juanita?
Hyena?
Yeah.
Maybe not that. We are mispronouncing your name. We apologize sincerely.
I'm going to stumble over that. How about you, James? You can probably read that better than I can.
Take a shot at it? Okay.
Yeah.
I would just say, Janina Gavin Carr.
Gavin Carr?
That'll be it. I think I'll have to be right back.
Yeah.
So
go right ahead.
Talk about it. She's been in Arrow. She's a well-known actress. And what do you guys think about having more voice actresses known voice actors coming into the Star Wars world, and perhaps bringing more obscure characters from books and video games into the actual live-action movies?
Okay. Well, the one concept that you brought up to me when you were explaining it, what James was explaining to me, is the fact that it is a canon game, which is a first, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, you can learn the canon story by not playing the game, by reading the book. So if you're doing the storyline with the game, you can learn the story, or if you read the book, you can learn the story. So everyone's on the same page. Now, I think that is really, really cool, because all right, a weird nerd here. I've read the book versions of the games that I've never played, just because I was curious what all my friends were talking about.
Right.
So now they weren't part of a big movie franchise, but the fact that you could link the two together, that to me is really cool. What about you?
Like I'm such a casual gamer. Like really, I play a little bit of Battlefield. I've been playing StarCraft since 1998, and so I was really happy when we got StarCraft 2. And the one thing I was impressed most with StarCraft 2 was how much. I mean, well, it's Blizzard, so they're known for massive cinematics, and you could pretty much turn those games into a mini movie,
right?
Just from going off all the scenes in between the levels. So the fact that there's this much detail in a Battlefront game always makes me feel good. And as far as like reading the stories in between the games, I have not played the Injustice game, but my God, the comic book series that they have based on that game, that first volume that they put together, that so far is the only comic that has had enough emotional weight to it that has actually made me teary-eyed. At like 3 points in the comic, I was like, my God, that's awful. Yeah. So I definitely went back for more, and now I think I'm just about to start year 3 of the Injustice storyline. So there's a lot to go around. Just off the trailer of Battlefront alone, I want to know more about this character.
Right.
Because I've said before, I am a guy who kind of roots for the Empire, half-heartedly in these Star Wars movies. So the fact that she's a Imperial character picking up in the aftermath of Return of the Jedi is something I really dig.
It's also that little niche, picking up right after Return of the Jedi. It's one of those vague, unexplored regions now that a lot of the legends are gone and the new canons come out. I like the fact that you're getting the same actress, the same voice actress. Yeah. And as for expanding minor characters, the thing is you never know when a minor character is going to take off because, quite frankly, Ahsoka was a risk that grew. I mean, if you watch some of the discussions about it, she was kind of a risk. She was a hard sell at first. And then, a lot of the popularity grew as she developed as a character. Boba Fett. The man has a following for the shortest lines in any series of movies ever.
Like what he's capped at 4 lines per movie or something?
Something like that. It's got to be in his contract. He has a, laryngitis or something. So people latch on to minor characters that sometimes get completely overlooked that really help flesh out the overall worldview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also want to know more about this voice actress because I feel bad. I have not seen Sleepy Hollow or The League or True Blood, but I have watched Arrow, and so I really want to know who she was in Arrow. I feel like I know her face, I know her name from somewhere.
I started watching Sleepy Hollow, so I think I know who it is.
Okay.
Now, I could be completely wrong because I started watching Arrow, then stopped. I'm terrible at watching media products because I admit it, guys. Other than Star Wars, I'm a documentary guy. I do nothing but documentaries. So maybe knowing who some of these actors and actresses are, I'm a little remiss because I have never heard of them, and it's like everyone else has.
Yeah. The first 2 seasons of Arrow are great. The first third of season 3 is also great, and then it kind of falls off a cliff. Pun intended, if you know what I'm referencing.
Didn't. No, not going there. So, yeah, I think it's ultimately always a good thing if you can keep the same people. As James observed over the whole continuity people, it's like the voice is different, and it knocks you out of that pleasurable experience because they don't jive. It's like when they couldn't get Yul Brynner for the Magnificent Seven returns. It's like, wait a minute, Yul Brynner, bald, thin, svelte, muscular guy, fat Anglo dude with blonde hair. What? How did this happen? So I'm a huge fan of keeping the core actors. It's like replacing Han Solo after Empire. You would just knock you completely out of total fourth wall destruction kind of thing. Let's see. What is the other thing? Is that possibly secret projects. Now this is something near and dear to everyone's heart. Is that Matt Leinart and Ashley Eckstein are in the studio, and actually something that we noticed, she was wearing a Matt Leinart t-shirt while working with Matt Leinart. I one day want to be that famous that I have an awkward moment of someone wearing me on their t-shirt while being in front of me. That's got to be really cool or awkward. So they're working on the shorts. I think it's called Destiny.
Forces of Destiny.
Forces of Destiny. There's the notes. Read the notes, Sean. So these are shorts being produced by Disney that's revisiting time with Anakin and Ahsoka. So now there is an argument out there, and I'm going to throw it to you. It's like, do you think this is really what they're up to, or are they up to something else?
Oh, man, I remember talking about these animated shorts, and I don't know. I still, luckily James isn't here to hear me say this. I still don't know very much about the Ahsoka character, and I have not watched Clone Wars or Rebels, so I got to catch up on the animated stuff. But these shorts sound incredible, and I can't wait to see the other stories that they have, especially more stories featuring Padme, who I think has been underutilized in the recent Star Wars lore.
A lot in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. She's a lot in the Clone Wars, but then what else after that? So I think that she's definitely deserving of more stuff. Like, I'm not even sure if she even has a comic book.
I don't know. I'm not the comic book person in the room. I don't know. I'm remiss on that as well. But I would say that she was really fleshed out in the Clone Wars.
Good.
Padme had a lot more fun there. But yeah.
I did not know that we were less than a month away from these coming out until we saw this saw the show notes. So that's something we'll be talking about definitely in the near future.
It'll be something that you will need to. We're gonna just have to schedule like viewing parties. Like,
there we go.
I'll make some food for us. We'll like park and view things to get you caught up on stuff. Because that was my homework when we started for Force Fridays. Like I had to go back and rewatch everything and start watching the Clone Wars.
What kind of food are you good at making? Like, what's your specialty?
Bantha.
Oh, Bantha. Hey, there we go. Let's try some Bantha.
I saw the Collider show, the Collider spinoff where they had a chef make Bantha.
Okay.
It's like I could do that so much better. Not that I'm official now with the big hat and everything. It's like, oh yeah, I could do that better.
Oh, just as long as you wash your hands before you cook, we'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be fine. No blue milk. No blue milk. I'm really hoping though, although I'm looking forward to the this project by them, I'm hoping for some super secret surprise. I always want the studios to reward the super fans. I always want that. Like we were talking before about, is there going to be a reveal at the convention?
Oh yeah.
So I'm always hoping when you get all creative people back together, they're not just doing the scheduled projects. I'm hoping there's going to be some Easter eggs or some fun little thing.
Because is it called like I'm the kind of guy who follows Comic-Con news. I'm blanking on the name of the Disney convention. It's like D23, I think.
D23.
D23. Yeah, so that's coming up around the same time as Comic-Con, if I'm not mistaken. So that should be that should be the time of year for us to get some kind of big surprise.
That would be, if I was a sneaky SOB, that's what I would do. Especially if I see Comic-Con as my opponent. Now, D23 is more announcements and scheduling and more of showing. It's almost like a stockholders meeting. It's a fun stockholders meeting, I'm sure, but it's basically showing this is our line of products that we're unveiling for the future. Get on board now, kind of feel the build buzz and everything. So I'm hoping for something special, especially when they all get back together, kind of thing.
Maybe like a final decision on if they're going with the Boba Fett movie or the Obi-Wan movie.
Yeah, the funny thing is, before the Clone Wars, especially even before the animated Clone Wars, I think the Han Solo film would have been much more popularly received. But now that the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan has been so fleshed out, now he's the uber popular. More people are rooting, from what I've been reading on all the weird chat rooms and all that, they're rooting more for Boba Fett and Obi-Wan than Han Solo. And for me, that's mind-blowing because I always was like an Obi-Wan fan in the old days, and now, Han Solo, everyone wanted to be Han Solo, it's the king of cool, and he's being eclipsed by these two quote-unquote side characters.
Yeah.
So,
well, I guess, he hasn't been featured in any of the cartoons or animated series at all. Yeah, you're right. So as far as like a younger fan base, gosh, Han Solo, not much to go around.
I don't know if it is because it's purely that he's the king of cool.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the uncle that your mom didn't like having over, kind of
like
thing.
You almost wouldn't want to overuse him or something like that. Yeah.
He's someone that his cachet and power is on how limited you use him. It's like you can only, do the same thing so many times.
He's like the shark from Jaws. You don't want to make, more than 2 movies, maybe.
Well, no more than one. There was only one. But it's also the fact that, like the shark, the mythos in our mind is bigger than what was actually there. Just like the mythos of Boba Fett is bigger than what was really there, to be honest. So I just wanted to bring that up as something that I was reading. Like all the polls are really pushing for Obi-Wan. It's almost a dead hot tie. Obi-Wan Boba Fett movie, and Han's this old established character. To me, it's kind of almost heartbreaking. But it's like it was Han.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
But then again, he's also dead.
Yeah. Yeah, he's also
by Lawrence Kasdan and Harrison Ford's wishes, the character is dead.
Right. It's kind of like one of my arguments over ethos and pathos. I mean, if he had to go out, it was a very dramatic way to go out.
Very well shot.
Very memorable.
Yeah.
And also showed a character that you wouldn't think being vulnerable. He's supposed to be the man's man, but yet he was choosing to be vulnerable to try to rescue his son.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a very nice end, because when you first meet him, what is he?
As a scoundrel.
Hardened scoundrel, scum, sell you down the river, right? To that. So I thought that was, really great arc. So, I was very pleased with that.
Yeah. If you got to go with some style.
Yeah. It's not as good as the old canon story of Chewbacca's death, but,
Oh my God, I don't even want to think of that.
Well, once again, that's no longer exists.
Okay.
That was just a dream that goes away. Little thing.
Yeah, let's try the happy ending. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo.
So here's the next. Now the next topic is going to be really prickly topic. So
Oh yeah.
it's
I was actually going to suggest to James that we just skip this one because, frankly, I don't think it's anyone's business, but it's out there.
On the other hand, I have really mixed feelings on it.
Yeah.
And
Do you want me to read the synopsis
Sure.
just so everyone knows what we're talking about? Let's see. All right. Let's see. In the recent release of Carrie Fisher's autopsy, it was revealed by the LA County Medical Examiner that Carrie Fisher died of, quote, sleep apnea and other undetermined factors, unquote. There were also, quote, signs of multiple drug intake, unquote. Hearing this, most Carrie Fisher fans knew that the late actress had to battle these demons and many others throughout her life, and she was very vocal about it. Her daughter went on to say, quote, I know my mom. She'd want her death to encourage people to be open about their struggles, seek help, fight for government funding for mental health programs. Shame on those social stigmas that are the enemies of progress to solutions and ultimately a cure. So I say right on with that statement, man. I mean, like, who cares what she had in her system? She never hid her demons from people.
Right.
Let's try to just use her example and her timeless stature to just try to make sure some people get the help they need and they're not just social outcasts of some kind.
No, the thing is, when I say that I have mixed feelings about this, is that I fully can embrace that statement. That she's never hid the fact that she had problems. Never hid the fact, any of it. I guess if I was playing devil's advocate, and it's one of these things I bring up and I don't like doing, the flaw, it's going to be Shakespearean here. It's the flaw is not in the stars. It's with us. The issue is,
Catchy.
the issue is she's been held, and this I'm playing devil's advocate, guys. Believe me, I really respected her work. I really loved her as a writer. That's how I started connected with her after the first movies. It's the issue that whenever you have a figure that's held as an example, we have the terrible habit of building in better parameters than any human can live up to. And that's why I said the flaw really is ultimately with us. We get invested in what we think this ideal image of this individual is. It's like the Hemingway effect. Masculine man, real men don't cry, real men, real men apparently like use shotguns to take their heads off. It's the issue that's part of the shame aspect, but we also build these people into larger than life characters, and partially they reinforce that on their end. They carry a little bit of weight with them too, because that's also how they get employment.
Yeah.
When you're in the public
like
eye.
Some stars almost feel like they have the bad boy or bad girl image to uphold or something.
And then they get trapped in a cycle of behavior, especially if they suffer from depression, such as Hunter S. Thompson, another writer that I greatly respected, went out a terrible way. So on one hand, I'm putting the blame on us on the grounds of, yes, there's a social stigma, but we also make the mistake of forgetting these people are human.
Yeah.
And we judge them, in my opinion, far too harshly when they stumble and fall. For me, the big one was Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Okay? Because for me, he was like someone who was like, he got through these dark patches in his life and he was very inspirational. And then when he falls, it was a kind of a blow. But on the other hand, he was struggling and he was still human. All too human. And that's the thing.
Yep.
That's a courtesy we don't extend to celebrities, because we see them as our aristocracy or nobility.
Yep.
It's who we follow. It's who we aspire to be. It's who we dress like. But we're not extending the courtesy to them. You're just another human.
Yeah. Like to me, like reading that statement, the first thing that came to mind was Robert Downey Jr., who famously struggled with alcohol and substance abuse. I think multiple times throughout his life, and then turned around in around 2005, and then like kind of made a soft reemergence on the Hollywood scene when he did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Shane Black.
Fantastic,
Beautiful movie. Also, I think one of Michelle Monaghan's first films. And then he was people would forget, a controversial choice for Iron Man.
He was, except people who were Marvel fans who read Iron Man went self-absorbed playboy who was an alcoholic and manic depressive.
There you go.
Yeah, wow. The great casting was my argument.
But years later, or just a few years ago, I know he had a situation where his son got busted for something. I don't know if it was drug or alcohol related, and he got naturally he got attention from it, but he didn't just try to shoo the story away or ask that people get out of his business. He said, "Look, I love my son so much, and I'm here to embrace him as he goes through this same struggle that I did." And he used his stature as an actor to make sure that people knew, look, we all have our trouble. I'm here for my son. I'm not going to hide from this story. I love the guy. We're going to get him the help that he needs, and I've struggled with this too. And people can overcome their demons or their addictions if they get the help that they need. And I think that was a very classy thing of him to do, and is a very good example.
No, it's very classy, and it also
very good example to follow.
Neutralizes the controversy. When you deny something and you hide it, that's where everything blows up. Yeah. And the thing is, once again, Ms. Fisher never hid her problems, and so once again, I understand people. Like I said, I had mixed feelings on this because, one, I'm not a celebrity person. I'm sorry, I grew up as an angry punk. The first rule of angry punk is that you destroy your idols. There's nobody greater than you, because when you put someone on a pedestal, you take away their humanity. Is the argument, is really what they were saying. And that's why I have issues with celebrity. You're taking away the fact that they're just human.
Yeah.
And, being treated better than the average human is very addictive into itself, and it once again feeds into the cycle that you talked about. And sometimes psychologically, cycles like that become the prison that they all want to escape from. So I put the blame on us as much as anything else.
Like I remember there's a story where for a brief time in like maybe the middle of the 60s, Johnny Carson got so close to having Cary Grant come on his show, because Cary Grant was one of those big-time movie stars who, when he was at the top of his game, he didn't have late-night talk shows to deal with. That was still a relatively new part of the scene. And he almost got Cary Grant to come on the show, but eventually Cary Grant backed out and just told Johnny, "I'm sorry, but it would ruin the illusion."
Yeah. And it used to be, people went out. They went into seclusion. It's like Greta Garbo or other old Hollywood stars.
Yeah.
It's like they knew when their star had kind of faded a little bit, and they wanted to keep that fan base and that illusion.
Or like even Johnny Carson, who retired at probably just the right point.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a really hard thing to do, to figure out, when it's time to go.
Yeah.
And I have great respect for people who can figure that timing out versus, other crash and burn scenario. No, it's just such a catch-22, because, of course, when she was alive, especially recently, she was held up as an idol.
Oh, yeah.
Held up as an idol and inspiration. And to me, she's still inspirational because, like I said, I really read her work, and I really enjoyed someone who is openly talking about dark things.
Yeah.
Because everybody has that. And that's something that, once again, guys, putting the blame back on us, a lot of people hide, but it's there. And it's someone who is going to be open and honest about it is the only way that other people can be open and honest about it. I mean, if the stigmas were gone, would Hemingway had another novel in him? Would Hunter S. Thompson maybe done, I'm 80 and loving it,
I don't know. I mean, like Hunter always said he never thought he'd make it to 60.
Yeah, I can understand that. My friends actually gave me money when I turned 30 because no one believed that I would hit 30, so it was like a pool they had collected over the years. So I can understand that. But, there are cultures like Japan where they tell you to kill yourself once you're done.
Yeah.
So it can be frozen in time. It's like when we look back on Byron and Shelley and Keats, stars that were ended when they were at their brightest and forever are locked in our memory when they were at their brightest and at the height of their powers.
Or like, to use an example from music, the Forever 27 Club of Joplin, Morrison, and Hendrix.
Yeah. We did. Of course, they didn't release the photos of how fat Morrison had gotten and changed his appearance.
Oh, I don't want to know that.
See, that's my point. We take away the fact that he was human. He was a rock god. He wasn't human anymore. He was he was beyond us. Yeah. But I know we're rambling a little bit on the subject, but it is a very delicate subject, and I'm just trying to convey as much respect as I can about the subject, especially for the person whom I had a deep sense of respect for. Yeah.
Well, I think our group ramblings at the end of the show are some of our best. It's very,
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like we start off the topics, but the thing is, we seem to branch out on a lot of things, and I really enjoy that, and I think the long form narrative is actually where we do well. You see, you can't see on the paper here, but I actually wrote out pro and cons of both things, and so
there you go.
I'm kind of taking the middle path here because it is an issue of respect. Because when someone's dead, you can't take anything back. It was like a lesson my father said. You can never say you're sorry if they're dead or they're gone. You can never take anything back. So
that's heavy.
Yeah. Well, he hated people. What can I say?
Well, we love people, especially all of you who are watching us here today. And please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And we are still trying to give away this nice, very well put together Imperial AT-ACT Trooper.
Be the first in your neighborhood, guys. Come on. Be the first in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know you want it. You want to, like, take it out, like, maybe shower with it. I don't know. People have weird rituals.
No. You can just cuddle up with it before bed,
and in the box or out of the box?
Well, that's your preference. I mean, a lot of people prefer in the box. I am one of those out of the box type people. But plus, I do dream of a resurgent empire eventually.
What, the First Order's not good enough for you?
Yeah, they're okay.
I had a weird dream. Trying to tie this all in, guys. It's like I had a dream the First Order was like Napoleonic. It's like,
ooh,
yeah, it's like because you had the French Empire that collapsed, the Revolution, the Rebellion, and then suddenly, officially, the First Order would be the New Republic.
I wonder how tall Don Home Gleason is too. I don't think he's Napoleon short, but I don't know.
Napoleon wasn't that short.
Really?
It was a propaganda issue.
What? So the term Napoleon complex is kind of off off kilt?
Yeah, It was really off key, guys. But this is a point that irks me.
This is history.
History, people. History. Napoleon was maybe 1 or 2 inches shorter than average.
Okay.
But from Corsica, he was about average height.
Okay.
In France, he was a couple inches short.
But like what average height are we talking about here?
We're 5'4", 5'6".
Okay.
So he wasn't this like 5'2", 4'11". They try to make him out to be. The thing is, the propaganda cartoons from England always had him like a midget.
Oh, it's the English we got to blame.
Yeah, actually, because his main opponent is
the Wellington?
Duke Wellington, who was over 6'3".
Oh.
So when you put them side by side, there was this huge height difference. Wellington wore tall hats, wore tall boots. You see, and so it's just like the World War II propaganda cartoons where we really made fun of the enemy forces, like the Japanese forces, all wearing glasses, or all the Germans being, with little Hitler stashes and red in the face from screaming. It was really a big propaganda thing, and it really stuck with us. Now, as for the Napoleon complex, well, the man was almost borderline insane, but he was brilliant. Take away from him what you want. For all the things that he did, he came from being almost a peasant on an island, not speaking French. He didn't grow up speaking French. He had to learn French when he joined the military academy in France. Was made fun of. Never make fun of people. Never make fun of people. Happened to Genghis Khan. Here's a lesson. Once again, Putin, you were probably made fun of. I feel your pain. That's why you're always going shirtless. You were a little chubby as a kid. I get it. Now, so if the funny thing is here's a guy that has an Italian accent speaking French, and he becomes the leader of the new French Republic, and then eventually crowns himself. So he literally went from lowest rank to the highest rank, and by the end of his life, he's back on an island living in exile at the lowest rank possible. He really did a 360 all in one lifetime. How that ties into Star Wars, people, I don't know, but...
Because Emperor taking over, Galaxy, Fall, Resurgence, New Empire, figure it out.
Figure it out, guys. It's either the 30 Years' War or the 16 Years' War. I'll just throw that in there.
There we go. All right.
I think that's all we have. So, once again, guys, sorry to tie it up with the bow. If you think we're idiots, tell us. If you want us to stop rambling, tell us. But please subscribe, tell people about it. And if you want to make fun of us, let us know. We'll actually join for a viewing party. We'll maybe Skype something if you would like. We have that capability. And remember, we're still trying to give away our little friend here. So we're going to sign off with that.
There you go. Thank you and good night.
Good night.